Yes. Commissioner Holm. Commissioner Svestka.
Present.
Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
And Commissioner Tantillo. Here via conference call. And then Commissioners Bruno, Costello, and Scovich are absent. We have a quorum, finally.
All right, thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, thank you, everyone. So let's first go ahead and review the meeting minutes from the last meeting, which was May of 2022. Did everyone have the opportunity to review those, and or do we have any questions, comments, or corrections? Diane, are you good? Awesome. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and say those are, or do we need to vote on this, or? Okay.
Quick voice vote. We'll do.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Someone needs to make that motion, and then you can approve it.
I'll second.
Thank
and then
you.
Also, all the ayes say aye.
And all in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Can you hear us okay, Bob? Just checking.
Yep, just fine so far.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All righty. So moving on into new business, I think our first order of discussion is the special use hearing for a shed at 6588 Shabona.
And I got a couple just quick procedural things to go over
Yeah.
for tonight. So first, these are all technically public hearings, so we are going to need a motion to open a
Open and
public
close.
hearing and close the public hearing. To the residents, we apologize for the delay in getting this meeting. You know, it's been a busy summer, but we're happy to be here now and get this going. The way it'll kind of work tonight is whenever we get to the public hearing for your address, you'll just come up, give a little speech about your proposal, your application, and commissioners might ask questions. And then the commission will vote to recommend approval. And ultimately, the decision will be made by the Board of Trustees next week based upon, they will review the recommendation made by this commission. So, and if any of you have any questions, feel free to just talk to me afterwards or give me a call. So, but that's all I got. To start off, I think we would need a motion to open the public hearing for this one.
I move that we open the public hearing.
Give me a second.
Can I second?
Yeah.
I will second it. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Perfect. All right, so it looks like we are having an application for a special use permit for a shed. It's a currently existing structure. And I do see in the petitioner details a mention of a fence. Is there a fence in this one as well?
Not in this one.
Not
no.
in this one. Okay. All right, do we have the petitioners?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Steve Ziemba. I live at 6588 Shabona Road. And I put up a shed behind my garage for my riding lawnmower and my lawn equipment. And so I'm asking for a special use permit to keep it. And I don't know what else I could say, you know, so.
When was the shed constructed?
Like 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I applied for a permit here, paid the money, and then I was informed afterwards that it's not allowed. So in the meantime, I built the shed myself.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm at right now. So
And do you have a garage on your current home?
yes.
What's the size on that? the
2.5
dimensions?
car garage.
So, like, do you have a dimension? Like, is it 24 by 24? or-
It's attached garage to the house, so it fits 2 cars and a little, so they call it 2.5 car garage. I don't have the exact dimensions, but
Okay, okay,
I don't know if I put it in the application. I filled out some papers again, but
right. And what are you currently using the shed to house?
leaf sweepers and grass sweepers.
So yard equipment.
And yeah, yard equipment, yeah. And I have kids, and I have like, 8 bikes and
Right.
a collector car in my garage, so my space is a little tight, so,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. And so it looks like we have the plot here and the current location of where the shed is, which
Yeah, it's right
appears-
behind my garage. It's sort of
home,
tucked
okay.
in. I didn't paint it yet because I didn't know if I'll have to tear it down, so I'm waiting on the painting. Once I get approval, I'll obviously paint it to match the house where it blends in, so. And then whatever I need to do, landscaping or whatever you
Okay.
require.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
there's
we
some
require it to
requirements.
be shielded by shrubbery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't want to do anything until I know it's okay to do
Sure.
it. So I sort of put a halt on finishing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now mentioned staff is recommending approval. The application meets the criteria of the shed ordinance. In this case, the shed is, I believe, about 21 feet from the property line. So we are recommending approval.
It's,
Andy, could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Just, and if you guys approve it, that's great. Just, it says the shed may need some plantings to screen it from view.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you typically follow up on that?
Yeah, so we'll do just kind of how we did inspections at the Bartlett home subdivision. We'll do inspections of these as well and let the homeowners know. Speaking of which, I'll just bring it up now. The Bartlett home subdivision, their inspections for screening took place a week ago. 2 weeks ago. And most of them passed. A few of them still need to do some plantings, and we'll follow up with them again. And our thought was with this new round, if they are approved, to just give them till next July to do the planting, since they can't really do it over the winter, and that we would inspect in July next year.
And just as a reminder, for those homes that we did inspect that have not yet met the parameters of the screening, what are the next steps with that? Is it just a continuous reminder, or are we issuing fines or citations?
And we're not there yet. It's just a follow-up inspection again in a month.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, Diane, I think you were going to say something.
I was just going to ask you to clarify. You mentioned that you came to the village and filed for a building permit to put the shed up, and no one at the village.
Well, I brought in the application and the money, and then I got notified by a letter afterwards. Or no, actually, they notified me that my shed from the corner. I'm on the corner. I have a corner lot in a pointed backyard that goes on a corner, and the inspector I did a plat of survey myself. It wasn't exact to the scale, but he said you have to be so many feet from the corner of your lot. It was sort of a little odd. It was 50 feet or 80 feet that way, that corner, that I have to be another 4 foot over. And I explained to him, I said, well, it's not exact. Let me measure it. And then after that, so I said, well, I'll go see you. And he said, you might have to move it. I said, well, we'll figure that out. But let me measure it first. And then right after that, I got the letter saying sheds aren't allowed. And, and that you need to take it down. So I said, oh, man, So then I got another letter saying, well, we're putting everything on hold, to allow them. And that's where it left off. So I think it's not close to my neighbors. I got my neighbors to sign off that it's okay, that it doesn't, Right now it's not painted, so it doesn't look the greatest, It's cedar siding, So, so that was the only issue. So then it was this 2 year, about a year and a half now, I think, somewhere. It was a birthday present from my wife. She had somebody build it for me. And then it turned out to be I didn't know it was a big problem. I didn't know, so. Anyway, so that's where it's at. So
Andy, do you have any background on that? Like when this gentleman came in?
I do not know. I do not know.
This is one of those weird.
I think it was 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
So not last summer, the summer before. That's when it all started. So
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. in his case.
I think it was right before COVID, or right during, right after COVID. So it might have been the year before COVID started. And so then everybody just sort of hibernated, and then I didn't hear anything. Then I started getting the letters in the mail from you guys. So
Right.
that's all. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. If I have to put up bushes to cover it or whatever, I mean, you guys could take a look. I keep my house nice, so, you know, whatever needs to be done, I'll do.
So, Andy, so was the reason for the rejection because of the shed, or was it because the shed was built in a way that didn't conform?
Like I said, well, I don't know what you have on your end, but because I dealt with the inspector before, because when we bought the house, we remodeled it, and so he was familiar with me and told me, according to my drawing that I drew, you make a drawing. I gave him the plat of survey, and then you do a drawing of where the shed is on the plat of survey. When I drew it, it wasn't exact, like. To scale, you know what I'm saying? So he went off my drawing saying, oh, it's too close to the corner of the backyard. But I explained to him, let me measure it exactly with a tape, you know, that my drawing wasn't to scale. The plat of survey was real, but I just drew on the copy of the plat of survey where the shed is in respect to my house and the lot lines. So and then that's where everything just sort of went away, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it was like a weird, like if you're pulling a pool, I don't know. It was so many feet to the corner of your lot, so.
I'm not sure. I think it would just be rejected because.
And I think it's less than what because it's just the way I did the drawing. He didn't know that it wasn't to scale, like every inch is 10 feet on my drawing.
What it currently is.
Yeah. It's up against the back of my garage, behind my house. Not the best pictures, I know. Yeah.
Well, I think my concern, for consistency's sake, with the intent of the ordinance that we developed is that this homeowner has a 2.5-car garage. And we went around about, you know, what constitutes a
Space.
garage that is too small to accommodate stuff,
Yeah.
so that you have to have a shed because you don't have enough stuff, you know, enough
space.
room.
To store.
And it sets a kind of a troubling precedent to say, well, if you have a 2.5-car garage,
Well, if you put two
you still
cars
don't
in
have
there,
enough room for your stuff.
you can't put you know what I mean? A lawnmower, a riding lawnmower in there, you know what I mean? And it would take up, you'd have to pull the cars out, and then you can't walk in the garage, so I don't have the exact measurements, but whatever I gotta do. If I gotta take it down, I'll take it down. I'll figure something out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just where we're at here, so I'm not gonna get into a big legal and financial thing over a shed, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that this commission needs to be consistent with how things are enforced throughout the village. So if
Yeah.
you say, oh, if you have a 2.5-car garage in this location, go ahead and have a shed, then that creates an opening for everyone else in the village who has a 2.5-car garage to come and say, well, I need a shed too, which is not at all the intent of the shed ordinance that we passed. The intent was to
Yeah, but I
accommodate
think it
people that
also
have a
depends.
1-car garage or a
Some very small.
very
too.
small 2-car garage that they can't fit 2 cars into even.
So I think we said, 20 by 20 was the standard
Yeah.
dimensions we were using as a reference
So,
point.
just as a reminder to kind of go back to that was
Yeah.
sort of where we landed, was an undersized 2-car garage would be a hardship, you know,
Right.
in that situation.
Can I get a clarification on that then? I mean, if the issue of the size of the garage has been discussed within committee and the staff is making a recommendation to accept it,
Yes.
which is what's been written here,
Yes.
I'm concerned about like
How do
the
we rectify that?
disconnect
Well, I
between
think. Well,
like,
I think.
hold on, excuse me,
yeah.
let me just finish real fast. Like, I think lots have different sizes. People use them for different reasons. Some people have more acreage. Like, there's a lot of different variables at play in terms of how people use their property. And I'm concerned about a cookie cutter approach where we just say arbitrarily 2.5 cars is the limit. But then, like, if that is what we're talking about, and we've got village staff stating that it's still acceptable, I just wonder, like, if we're spinning our wheels about what the standards are. Like, I don't really know what the precedent is in that situation.
Yeah, well, so the way that we looked at it is the garage rule. I think it's, you know, it's part of the criteria of, well, it's not even an official rule, but that is kind of what we went off of for a lot of it in regards to the Bartlett home. So it's because, you know, one of the criteria is proving a hardship. But at the same time, we think we think that it's generally a good rule, it is not a hard and fast rule. I mean, there's, you know, we may, from our research, we found, you know, 20 by 20 is, you know, definitely probably too small. 24 by 24, that's bigger. 20, what do you do with 22 by 22? So I, like you're saying, I don't think it is a one size fits all, and that's kind of the way that we approach it on this one. Is, you know, it's an existing shed, so for that it gets some special credence for one, and the homeowners have signed off. I just don't see it as a problem, but that's ultimately not my call.
I think it sounds like it's an existing shed that was erected with some lack of information from the village when the original gentleman came in, and no one said no. So that's unfortunate for the village and for you, because that
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
I was unaware of that rule, you know, and I did it. I mean, I thought I did it aesthetically, where I didn't put it in the front of my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, like, my neighbors, I have neighbors that have their riding lawnmower sitting in their driveway. I mean, that's going to be the other issue, too. You know what I mean? I got another side drive. I don't want to be like that. You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that was the thought. But I'll follow whatever. I don't want to start a whole.
Just one more question then.
Yeah.
In the context of a hardship, you know, for not being able to have the shed, do you have an alternative place on your property where you might put it, and what would the associated costs be with doing that if, like, for some reason it needed to be, you know, brought up to code?
Well, I mean, you know, the other alternative is, you know, I mean, I don't want to be like but what if I leave my lawnmower sitting in my driveway? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, you know, that would be the problem is when you have kids. I have 4 kids at home, and you got bikes, and it's to cut the grass. It would be an ordeal to pull everything out. You know what I mean? So, but it's not a hardship. You know what I mean? But I you know, I don't want to leave it sitting in the back of my yard with a canvas over it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's more aesthetically pleasing to put the stuff away than to have it out. But whatever,
I appreciate that. What I'm trying to understand is, in its most simple form, you know, like, is there an alternative place on your property where you'd be able to put the shed? That's all I'm asking. Like, as if you said, okay, I can put it here and it falls within the parameters, what would that mean from, like, a cost perspective and a hardship perspective? I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. The shed serves a function for how you use your property in your home. I don't think anybody's disagreeing on that.
Well, I don't know if the location of it is the issue. You know, I don't think the location is the issue. I think it's having a shed is the issue, right? You know.
Andy, is this the buildable area?
That is the buildable area for that property, yeah.
So, and I'm sorry that this is far away and probably difficult for you to see, but this intersection of the corners of your home.
Could I come up closer to see? Because I can't see that far.
Of course. Yeah, no, if I couldn't see without my glasses. So, for this 90-degree angle right here, could you put it in there that would be in the buildable area?
Well, I have a deck back there.
Oh, you do have a deck back there.
Yeah. And there's a big tree right here too, huge tree. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
so it'd
be challenging.
you really can't, from the street view, you cannot even see it. And our neighbors, we have trees, both
Yeah.
of us have a lot of trees and shrubs, so it's sort of nestled in.
Okay.
I don't think there's a better spot. I mean, if I moved it there, it wouldn't make any sense for me to move.
Yeah, that's six
Yeah.
of one, half a dozen of the other in that point.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
that's your
Okay,
call. though. I'm
well,
not-
no, I just thought I'd ask, thank you.
I guess my question is, and thank you for clarifying where it is. By today's standards, if they develop this plan, or they develop the plan to build a shed where it is currently, is it the village's opinion or the staff's opinion that this meets all the parameters?
Yes, it is. It's at least 10 feet from the property line, which was that ordinance was passed. So I would say it meets the standards. Yeah. Now, of course,
Thank you.
That is staff's opinion. I think we all have slightly different opinions about what is a hardship and what's not, but that's the opinion of staff is it does meet the criteria.
I guess what I'm trying to say is if he did not have a shed and tomorrow he came forward to the village with this plan and gave you all the plans for it, would you guys have said yes?
I would still recommend yes.
That's all. Thanks.
We're good? Okay.
They need to vote on some.
I mean, this is kind of a weird one, right? There seems to be a couple of things that might have not gone smoothly in the process that maybe could have avoided us being here having this conversation of, well, the shed is already established, and now what do we do? Because I think recommending to the homeowner to remove it is unfortunate, but also approving it, knowing that some of the other criteria that we've talked about previously doesn't quite apply to this situation is also unfortunate.
If I could make a recommendation, I know we're, in the middle of summer, and the recommendation was not to put any type of plant or things around the shed till next July, if it's feasible for the owner just to, make a good faith effort to try to at least meet some of those parameters for starting the process of, building around the shed. I think it would be kind of everybody's meeting each other halfway. A lot of us weren't here when, you went through this process. I'm not even sure that Andy was here. So maybe we just kind of figure out a way to meet halfway and just, move on from there. Maybe he shows a little effort to say, okay, these are the standards of the village. We acknowledge that, 2 years ago, none of us were here, and this is just something that's kind of popped up based on none of us really having a lot of context.
And Andy, just as a reminder,
Yeah.
your statement was that the garage dimension as an indicator of hardship is not an official guidance criteria. It's not an official criteria. It is a guidance reference point only.
Yes.
So if we had someone, for example, that came to us and had a 4-car garage and said, I, much like this gentleman, have bikes and stuff, and my 4-car garage is full with my other stuff, and I need an external structure to house my lawn equipment in, would recommendation of staff be to approve that as well?
It's each case on its own. I would say generally no if it's that size, but I think you would need to take into the facts of the case based on each case. I'd say generally no for a 4-car garage, but it would depend on the individual circumstances, I think.
So I guess I'm just wondering if staff thinks that a 4-car garage is too much, but a 2.5-car garage might not be Do we need to have that as part of the discussion, or should that be completely thrown out of recommendations for sheds?
Well, I think it can be, the garage size, I think, is a factor, definitely, but I don't think it should be a hard and fast rule of, this is 24 feet, not 23 feet. That's no. I think it's a factor. In this situation, I think that, in my opinion, in the opinion of staff when we reviewed it, was he showed this is, the garage is full. He's got the 2 cars and then the other stuff. It meets all the other criteria of the ordinance. It's 10 feet from the property line. He's going to have to screen it. The adjacent homeowners have signed off on it. We just don't see a problem with it. But I get both sides. I do. That's why this commission is tricky sometimes, when you're weighing all the facts.
Yeah.
I can make just one more comment, too.
Could you come? Yeah, thank you.
Another thing when you have lawnmowers and gas cans and edgers is I don't like keeping that stuff in my house, connected to my house, inside my house. And I feel my garage is sort of inside my house. So that was the other issue.
What about like pest control products or anything like that? Do you have that?
No, gasoline, the oil and the gas for the lawnmowers. The smell of that stuff in your house, even though your garage is separate, it's still attached to your house. You know what I mean? If there's ever a fire, I don't know if I'd want 3 gallons of gas inside my house. That was one of my reasons for, the mess of that. To keep that on a separate from the house.
We've had similar feedback.
That was
from other
I should have made that
petitioners as well.
point in the beginning. I'm sorry. But
No, it's valid.
yeah,
Thank you.
That's the other issue. That's okay.
Of course. Thank you.
And I think another thing is, quite frankly, the opinion of staff is that it would probably look better to have these things stored inside something than just in backyards or along sides of houses. We have no power to regulate where they put it, really. But by allowing a shed, I think honestly the aesthetics would look better. But again, that's the opinion of myself and staff. So.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion items on this petition? I don't think Bob had. Bob, you didn't have anything either?
No, I'm just looking through threads of consistency so we could have some guardrails and make some fact-based decisions. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of gray areas here that we're struggling with.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Well, then I guess we are ready to move to a vote. I would need a motion on that.
I move that we take a vote on this particular application.
Just it'll technically be a motion to recommend, and then you can vote yes or no. So.
I make a motion to recommend.
All right, I'll do the roll call vote. Commissioner Holm,
Yes.
Commissioner Tantillo,
Yes.
yes via phone. Commissioner Sveska,
No.
and Commissioner Barnes.
No.
No.
And we're stuck.
All right, the motion does not pass. It will still go to the
Goes to the board.
Board of Trustees next week, though, just with the no recommendation. So, and then can we get a motion to close this public hearing, and we can move on with the next one?
Can I make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to close the public hearing on 6588 Shabona.
I'll second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And then we'll need a motion to open up the next public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for 6616 Osceola Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, so this next one is as for another shed that is currently existing. The petitioners have provided plat of survey, as well as gotten the signatures from the adjacent homeowners for, I want to make sure I got, yeah, this is the right one. So this shed, it does not, the only criteria it technically does not meet is that it is not 10 feet from the rear property line. However, the rear property line is backing up to the Joliet Road fence and Joliet Road, so there's no homes there. You can't even see it from over the fence. So staff has no concern with that. Other than that, it meets the criteria of the ordinance, and so staff is recommending yes. And I believe the homeowners are here as well to talk about it.
I'm Barb Prang, my husband Gary.
Hi.
And we're here to petition for our shed. And what do you want to know? Sorry.
So I was just wondering, since it is backed up against the fence, when we have those deluge rainstorms, do you have any type of drainage issues with it being located there, or?
Well, it's staked down. So,
We had to put like 1-foot nails in each corner,
yeah.
otherwise it took a ride.
So I'm sorry, I might not have worded that correctly.
Okay.
Does the water runoff go along the fence, which then therefore would go around your shed?
It goes,
Does, okay.
you've heard a river run through it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have video of
Okay.
of a situation where we had our whole yard was flooded and our neighbor's yard was totally flooded. So,
Okay.
but it just it goes through it.
It actually is on semi-high ground back there,
Okay.
so it had no effect on it, as did our house.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So our shed is only like 5 by 7. It's not really big, but our garage is only 19 by 19, and it's hard to squeeze in two cars, let alone 2 cars with our snowblower, our lawnmower, our fountain, our trimmers, our edgers, our pots, my decorations.
We too
all
have had 2 kids live there, so we got their stuff still. They just moved out, so we got stuff like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, but we also have it, we have it, so it looks nice back there. I mean, everybody likes it. I have a picture here of it.
No complaints.
We have arborvitaes all around the fence, and I have solar, so we have those solar lights like on the top of the fence
Oh, nice.
to make it look nice. In the wintertime, it becomes Snoopy's
I could put Snoopy
doghouse.
on top, and then people love it. So
Our neighbors love
complain.
it because it looks really festive back there. But we do keep it nice.
Mm-hmm.
It looks better. I mean, we have. I'm just going to tell you this. We have to look at the Wolf's Head Inn flashing sign, obnoxious
Look
sign.
at that parking lot,
I mean,
which is obnoxious.
and then we have the dead trees across the street where they're not building the building now. So I was hoping that at least if they were going to build the building, that the dead trees would come down. But the dead trees are still there. So, I think there's worse things to look at from our perspective than our shed, which, like I said, none of our neighbors mind because we've got new neighbors that don't have any lawn equipment, and they use ours. So I just tell them come in and use it. So,
You
I don't know.
notice it.
Yeah.
You don't even notice it in our backyard. There's worse things in the
So
back
when you
backyard.
talk about going around the house, we don't, like, our house has those big, like, there's big bushes all the way around it. We'd have to have bushes removed along the back of our house because they're those big U's, they're huge. We've been there 17 years and they were there before us.
Right.
So, I mean, we'd have to have landscapers come in and take out bushes to put it next to our house. And, I think our neighbors would probably would rather look at it the way it is now than be like having to see it from their kitchen window. So, and they both signed off of it. Both of our neighbors have signed off on it.
So Andy, I know you had mentioned that they might need to add some additional plantings, perhaps. Are you guys okay with that if additional
Well, I don't know.
shrubbery was needed or
There's not
something?
much more you can add to it.
There's a fence behind it, you can see.
Oh.
So we back up to Joliet Road.
Yeah.
So
We have bushes around it and in front of it.
we have the arborvitaes all the way, that go around down the fence.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And then we have flowers in front of those, so it looks nice.
Okay, so there might not
Yeah, they
need to be
might
any
be all
additional
right then.
screening work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going by this picture.
Because we don't have
Yeah,
three, yeah, we
yeah.
don't have three sides to plant on.
Right, right. Okay.
That, along Juliet Road there, is the fence that's at the rear lot line of those homes, is it at the right-of-way line? Because there's a utility pole there.
The
There's
utilities
a row
are,
of utility poles with overhead wires. Is that?
I think they're
is
on the
that
other side of the fence.
Okay,
The
so the
utilities.
utility easement does not
that's- yeah.
encroach on the
I don't-
homeowners'
No.
I don't
properties
think it
here?
does.
No,
it
it doesn't. It's on the other
Okay.
side, and that's where they come, they do the trimming of the trees.
They don't ever have to come on your
Every-
property to
no,
do
no.
anything? Okay.
No, no, and we keep that all clean back there. Like, it's not, it's not overgrown or
It's not
anything in the
not
way.
kept up as much as we want to keep.
Has the Public Works Department ever looked at the drainage issues in that, along that stretch? There's about 12 homes there along Osceola Trail. And I'm asking just because I know someone who lived further down the way than you, who began
Oh.
to experience some
Ones who
pretty
are not there anymore?
serious flooding issues. And
Right.
That was my next question. It's like, this is a humongous problem all of us alongside of the fence have to deal with when we get torrential rains. It's a river.
yeah,
We have a video.
yeah. And I'm wondering how that relates to the placement of the sheds. Like, are they interfering at all with the water flow, or are they?
Would you like to see a video of that?
Oh, I've seen videos from a friend that lived a couple
So-
doors down from
so-
you about what happens during
for
rains.
us, okay,
Yeah.
for us, it doesn't come up to our patio.
Patio.
Our patio is lower level, like we have a split level.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk out the back, you walk out through the lower level, so it's like 4 stairs down, and then to go up to the yard, you have to go like the 4 stairs up.
Right.
But the way that the yard is, the way that it comes up, the slope of the land, it's almost like a berm there. And we also have our vegetable gardens up there, so it kind of gives it up, so it doesn't go that way. Now, our neighbors have had other issues, but that's not due to us.
No.
That was, and he's built his own berms since that, because he was like, well, how did you not get flooded? And we did. And it just has to go with the way the land, the slope of the land is, and God created that and not me.
To answer your question, I'm sure they have. I don't know of anything particularly as of late, but yeah, I mean they've dealt with stormwater issues all over town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
what is
just,
your
I'm wondering
concern
how
with that,
many
that it
how many
gets in-
homes along that row are planning to come in with a similar request to have a
Well,
shed
if
in the waterway, kind of. And
you
do
look at
we-
the home, but I'm just going to tell you that the other homes that are back there are all have heavy greenery, trees, overgrown bushes. They're not. They haven't done what we did, where we even had to have a couple of trees taken down years ago because they were dead. So and then we did this instead, because otherwise we just had like weeds and stuff growing all the time. So, and we didn't want that. We didn't want to have the overgrown look back there.
How long have you had the shed?
Oh, probably about 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
Okay. And was there ever a process where you petitioned the village?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
There were a couple, like when I walked my dog around the block, there were, there was a grandfathered maybe shed,
Yeah, I know, yeah.
pretty one, but I thought it was like, so didn't think that wasn't really much of an issue.
Isn't it
I'm
on
just
this
trying to
one?
differentiate between. Sorry to interrupt you. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to note that in this particular situation, you mentioned the split level house, and then your garage is sort of attached off the side.
Mm-hmm.
So that extension that we see in the aerial view is just your garage. Would it be feasible to have the shed be located directly behind the garage and be in the buildable area, so that it would be sort of
Well,
with-
yeah,
would
I
meet the-
guess I could, but I'm gonna have to have a landscaper come in and dig out those. We're not able to do that. I had a landscaper, you know, when they put in those arborvitaes, I had him also landscape some, like a little patio, like a brick, little brick, like patio area. I'm just gonna call it patio area, but they use, so when we open up the doors, because there were a lot of, you know, roots and stuff from the trees, and it was hard sometimes to open it up, so we had them, put pavers right there in front of the shed, in front of the doors. I mean, it's, so.
Is this, I mean,
But at this point, I would not pay to do that.
this is a situation, I think, where there is a location on the property that would meet the way the ordinance was crafted, which would be to allow it to be placed in the buildable area.
But that
This is a
ordinance was
situation where there actually
overridden,
is
though.
a spot where it could fit technically.
The thing is, though, that ordinance is overridden, so it's the only criteria now is the 10 feet rule. That's what the board decided.
I'm sorry, what was?
So the board made the decision to revise the criteria so that it no longer has to be in the buildable area. It just has to be 10 feet from a property line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think the commission was made aware of that.
No, it came through the commission. It came through. It was a split vote, but it did get, that ordinance did get approval, and then it went to the board, and the board approved it.
Okay. So the question of where the buildable area is on any of these
Isn't
properties
really
is
an
no
issue, then.
longer
It's
relevant
not that relevant,
consideration?
yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying that the, excuse me, the 10 feet off the property line in this particular scenario would not need to apply because they back up to a public road?
Yeah,
which then-
yeah, exactly. And it's 10 feet from the adjacent properties, which is the important
Right,
thing.
right. All right. Anyone else have any, I'm sorry.
I'm just, if I could make a recommendation, Andy, I mean, some of the stuff that we're talking about right now is nothing that's listed in the notes. Like about, you know, the public right of way or the fact that the village changed. You voted on it. I mean, it was a collaborative effort. I'm not trying to dispute that, but in order for us to try to have some type of consistency, I don't know if those facts are things that should be like brought out in the process of the commission asking questions. I think they should be part of the staff recommendation within the notes so that we have as much context as possible for making that decision. There's a lot of information, and I think that
This
Yeah.
one is an existing one, so I wrote it that way. But on most of the memos, I say, as long as the shed is placed within 10 feet, recommendation is given.
Right, I'm just looking at the notes here that say the shed is located outside the buildable area.
Yeah,
And if that's no
note that,
longer a
yeah.
factor within the decision based on what the village has decided, then I'm not certain that it should be something that, you know, we should be discussing, or there should be some like reference to the fact that
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
that's a new development based on recent hearings. That's all I'm saying.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
more about clarification so that we can be consistent with, you know, the folks that, you know, want to use their homes as they see fit. That's all.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments for these petitioners? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend approval for this special use permit?
The motion I'd make would be to approve this special use permit with the addition of some landscaping on the two sides of the shed so that it is shielded from view, if that is still part of the,
That is, so
That's
all of the criteria, the ordinance that, so all of the criteria for granting a special use for a shed is the exact same as it was originally, with the one exception of placement of the shed.
okay,
And that's now it has to be within 10 feet. So all homeowners will have to get a screening inspection regardless, and we'll have to screen if it's not properly screened from the adjacent properties. So
okay. So I'd move approval of a special use permit for this shed at 6612 Osceola with the bulk mailing fee condition and the screening inspection. The exception being made here is because this property backs up to Joliet Road, so the 10-foot setback from the property line is not applicable in this situation.
and someone will need a second then.
Sorry. Go ahead. Dan seconded.
Okay, and then I'll do roll call. Commissioner Holm? Commissioner Sveska?
Yes.
Commissioner Tantillo?
Yes.
Yes via phone. And Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
All right, the motion is approved. Okay, and then we'll need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
And I will second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we have a special hearing for a fence at 6534 Pontiac. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing for that petition?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second.
All right, so this is a fence petition from Mr. Wayne and Miss Diana Keduck. This fence is a partial fence. It is not a boundary fence. It was installed originally in 1957, 2 years prior to village incorporation. The petitioners have gotten the signatures of their neighbors stating that they do not object to the placement of the fence. And in order to be consistent with the village's handling of the fence petition so far throughout this process, staff is recommending that the commission approve a special use for the fence, but with the stipulation that the fence has to be removed prior to resale or transfer of the property. And I'm sure the homeowner can go a bit more into it, but the fence is primarily used for screening waste containers and yard maintenance materials.
And also, it's the right-of-way of the village. So their creek and sewer goes right behind my fence. And so I have, actually, the fence serves as my sandbags in front of the fence toward my house. And then my fence is like a half octagon. And again, you were right, Andy, 1957. It was put in with the original owners of Mr. and Mrs. Peterson. And we've just maintained it because it's off of my patio, but the right-of-way of the village ditch with all the rocks in it that carry the water into me, plus carry it down to my back neighbors. The fence doesn't have motion, let's put it that way, with the water. However, who wants to look at all that?
So this is in a rear corner of your lot, is where it is
Yes.
currently? Okay.
Yeah, it's off my patio, and
It's,
then
It's just at the back corner of the house. It's not actually at
It
the
says,
back of the
I
lot.
marked down there as you took your packet too
Yeah.
quick, but it's basically right here.
Oh, it's that?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, you
That
can barely
helps.
see
Thank
because
you.
of the shrubs and
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
In fact, many people don't even know I have a fence. I've been here for 32 years. That was done in 1957, and so
And is it still in decent condition?
yeah,
Like-
it is.
okay.
Yeah, every 2 years, maybe, depending on the wind bursts we get. You know, you've got to go pound your fencing nails in,
Right.
or replace a board. But you know, that's what we do.
Just as a point of clarification, because the issue was raised about the drainage ways that sort of snake through that neighborhood in between people's houses. Is there actually a narrow village right-of-way there that the
Yeah.
village owns?
It
Or
is
is it
a
is it an
village right-of-way.
easement? How is access to those drainage ways?
Maintained?
Only from
Maintained.
Pontiac. And we get the water coming from
Mm-hmm.
Blackhawk down into Pontiac. And then the right-of-way stops at the back of my lawn. So therefore, the survivors who have to deal with the rest of the rain and back of me have no right-of-way. The village doesn't own, that's a common area. So they really are in a fix back there. And they should have, when they did it, they should have sewered the big sewer off the street and rush it through, dig the sewer right to Cochise under the street, if they could have, right to the creek.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been simple instead of 30-some years. And I don't know how, well, I know how long the neighbors in the back have lived there. Not a long time, but enough to be frustrated over buying. And I had to buy also those snakes that you put that get filled with water. So it's a real problem. And Don, let me tell you, he's been fabulous. Right, Don? You're
Don and Justin, yeah.
they are fabulous. Anytime I call them up, they don't blow me off like someone used to. And usually I'm on the most wanted list of making calls. But then that's a concerned resident.
Sure.
And they come out, and I've taken pictures. And I think you all have the photos I sent of the area.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't look like that all the time, but we have a long summer from April all the way to October. And I don't want to shed.
So and in a situation like that, I mean, you call the village public works staff will come out and sort of, clear blockages or
They just
make
did it-
sure that the drainage
they
is
just
working
did
as
it
best
for
it
me.
can.
Yeah, they just
Okay.
did it for me.
So they need to have access wherever those
Actually,
kind of facilities are. I
one
guess.
of the, it wasn't Strand, it was a
Thomas.
contractor prior to that, back in maybe 91, something like that. Because when we moved in 87, that gully I'm speaking about, you could see grass growing. And my husband would cut the grass off that sewer. And then an architect came in and screwed it all off and threw rocks. So you've got just rocks to look at with weeds. And so I used to kind of clean that area, but I'm not young anymore, so I don't get in that gully because you can kill yourself. But Don did come out just a week and a half ago. I want to give those guys kudos because it's a big mess. And I don't even know my neighbors behind me, bless them, because they've been dealing with a whole lot of stuff. And maybe one day it'll be fixed. I don't
We
know.
hope so.
And I don't know, you mentioned about when you sell the house that the fence would have to be taken down. But since it's on a right-of-way, couldn't the new owners just replace the fence? Well, see, it's not over the easement. You guys got, if you found my Plata survey from 1991.
We were not able to find it. Yeah.
All right.
So you think it's actually in the right of way, not on your
Oh, no,
property?
it's on my property.
Oh, okay,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
'cause
okay.
the easement is 5 feet.
Okay.
Okay, so it's my next door neighbor who also has built his own berm from Pontiac Drive into his front property.
Sure.
So he's already stopped the water flow where mine, first of all, I can't build a berm. And second of all, I just called Don and show him my pictures, and then he comes out and he follows my mulch all the way to
My
where,
goodness. Yeah.
back to the store almost.
Sure.
So,
So, quick question, Andy, for you. And I know in our discussions when we talked about screenings for waste bins and yard waste and such, that we said that a fence-like structure in that scenario was acceptable to provide screening from those types of things. How does this differ from that?
So that is actually what the code has for business districts. For residential, there actually is no
Allowance for
allowance
screening.
for it. Yeah.
Okay. Even when we talked about trellises, I know we kind of
Yeah.
tried
Well,
to apply it
trellises
to
are
that.
this was about 2 years ago when the board originally passed the shed and fence ordinances. Trellises trellises are no longer counted as fences. So you can use trellises
Right. But
for
not
that.
something that's a permanent in the ground structure like this segment of wood
No,
is.
no. This is kind of a special case and similar to like the ones we dealt with in the Bartlett homes, where it's been there since even before the village was a village. So
And the neighbors prior to then, back then, across the street, the one who owned our house, next door, Mr. Leo Frageau, Dr. Stokes, Dr. Petitioner, before it was incorporated, they rode shotgun through this village. And so they were your police, say, on the roads.
Gotcha. Okay.
I thought that was a very interesting.
It's always fun to hear that kind of history, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions or comments for this petitioner? Nope. Okay, hearing, oh, yeah. Bob, you good?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to recommend approval of the petition for this address? Thank you. I will second that.
And that's as written in the staff recommendation with the removal prior to
yes.
sale or transfer? Okay.
Yep.
And then the new owner would have to petition if they chose.
If they
put something
want,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're just looking at rocks. And if they have children, because those children will go right from that patio, right into the gully.
Yep.
So that's something in the future that you might be heading down
Thank
that
you.
road.
Yep.
I'll do a roll. Did we get a second?
I second it.
Okay,
Sorry.
then I'll do a roll call.
Yep.
Commissioner Holm? Commissioner Tantillo?
Yes.
Yes, via phone. Commissioner Sveska?
Yes.
And Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All righty, moving right along.
And then,
oh,
sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
This one, the homeowner cannot make it tonight, so we're going to have to continue this to.
Okay, so do I need a motion to continue it?
Yeah, just a motion to continue this hearing to the next commission meeting.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to continue the petition for 11399 Sequoia until the next meeting.
And
Do you
all
need a
in
roll call
favor.
vote or
Yeah,
all in favor?
Just all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion.
Perfect. All right, so next up, we have 6543 Cochise. So let me flip over to that one.
So this one is for a new shed. It's a permit for a new shed.
Don't we need a motion to open the?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
Sorry, can we have a motion to open the
Thank
public
you.
hearing on 6543 Cochise? Okay,
Wait, which one?
All in
we have a
favor.
motion, we have a second.
Yeah, the Sequoia one is the one that's continued.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we're
it's
skipping
quite a few
11415.
Yeah, yeah.
The pages are a little wonky, so we're not doing
Go
11415 Plainfield.
no, go to the
just keep
when you see
going.
6543 code sheets.
Okay.
And so this is a petition for a new shed. The homeowner has received signatures from the adjacent properties, and as long as the placement is at least 10 feet from the property boundaries, staff recommends approval with the regular criteria.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, thank you. Could you give us a little bit of information about your project request?
Yeah. So I submitted the two places I'd like to put the shed. I'd like it at the rear of the property, away from the house. But whatever you guys approve. Essentially, I have a 2-car garage, and it's filled with. I have a lawnmower, snowblower. We have patio furniture. We have a garden, and then just we'd like a shed for normal storage. That's all.
And the image attached is the structure you're proposing to place if
Yes.
approved? Okay.
It'll look very nice.
What are the materials? Is it wood or is it vinyl or?
It would be a wood, like a wood composite, like a tough shed
Okay,
type material. It'd
Sure.
be very nice.
thank you.
Which of the two options are you recommending as the owner?
The question was, which are the two options do you
so
want?
the one, I submitted two. There's one that would fit right behind the garage, which I would like to avoid because there's a tree there and it would just make everything very tight. The other one is towards the back of the property to the right of that large tree. And my property's kind of like a pizza shape, and it would just fit right in the back. And I already put some hostas back there. Everything's looking really nice. So I do my yard right. I make it look nice.
So the owner prefers option one.
I would,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yes.
So do we need to vote on a specific option, or would that be something the board would have purview over deciding?
No, you can vote to recommend either option. Yeah, you can vote to recommend either.
All right, anyone have any questions or comments for this petitioner?
I'd make a recommendation that we allow the owner to choose whichever option fits their property.
Okay.
Okay. Then we'll need a second for the motion then.
Okay, could you restate that again? Sorry. Just to
I
make sure you captured
I
it.
make a motion that we approve the recommendation of staff that they can, put the shed up, and either option would be an acceptable option based on what the homeowner prefers.
Just one clarification, because I'm looking at, here it is. Adjacent neighbors that signed off were the adjacent neighbors to the north and the south, but not the adjacent property owner to the rear.
Yeah, I don't think the rear one did.
It wasn't requested. I am good friends with them, but if I'm sure I would get that request approved if you'd like it.
It appears that there are a bunch of trees near the back of the
Yeah,
property. Is that accurate?
it's very wooded, and it'd be quite secluded. But
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. We don't have a second yet.
Oops.
I will go ahead and second it.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote then. Commissioner Holm. One sec. Commissioner Tantillo.
Yes.
Commissioner Sveska.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barnes.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries.
Thank you.
thank you, board members. How do I proceed from this
so
point forward?
so the next step is this will go to the Village Board of Trustees, which have their meeting next Thursday, and they will have the final call.
Okay.
So, and what'll happen is, so they'll vote on it, and then staff will follow up with you, and we'll get you a copy of the ordinance of whatever they pass, and for your records as well. So,
Okay, and is there anything on for the the base, so it should be like concrete or
It's
gravel or-
your decision.
Okay.
One thing is, and we've reminded everybody, is you will need to get a building permit for it.
Okay.
It's a pretty quick one.
Yeah.
However you want to build it, really, as long
All
as
right,
it's
great.
structurally sound, you would be good.
All
if
right,
you
thank
get
you.
approval.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Talk
Have
to
a
you
nice
soon.
one.
Thank you.
We'll need a motion to exit that public hearing.
I had one clarification question, but we'll close the public hearing first. I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Typically, do the materials indicate that homeowners should get permission or approval from adjacent neighbors and all property lines typically?
So
or
it's
is it just
typically
side?
just the ones next to them, but if it's a scenario in which it's close to a home, then we will ask for the others, but right now the typical form is just the adjacent ones. But like there was one in sorry, that was loud. There was one in the Bartlett homes where it was behind, but it was pretty close to home, so in that case we got them to sign off. But typically it is just the adjacent ones, like next to them.
Okay, I mean, this is a situation where it will likely be placed at the back lot line, and it's very wooded, so it wouldn't be a concern necessarily to the homeowner behind, as he noted. But we've had, I mean, part of this whole conversation was raised in a situation with a deep lot like that, where a shed was proposed. Well, there were other issues that started getting built, without approval and whatnot. But that was a situation where the adjacent neighbors did not want to have the shed there.
Yes.
And so in a situation like that, we would give deference to the fact that the adjacent neighbors would consider it, unattractive or, impacting their view
Definitely.
if it were put at the rear of someone else's property.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we can move on to 6324 Pontiac. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing for this location? Thank you. I will second. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay.
So this is for another shed that does not currently exist. Mr. Timothy Adams has received the signatures of the adjacent homeowners, and as long as so that he has two proposed locations, village staff has no concern about either placement, as long as they are 10 feet from the property boundaries and are properly screened. It does look like that the two locations are pretty heavily wooded, but just like all the others, we would just do a quick inspection to make sure that it doesn't need to be, or it does or does not need to be screened. So, but with that, would you like to take over? Yeah.
Yeah, no, again, with the change in thanks for having me up here. I brought some visual aids. I sent in some slides, some of the previous petitioners, just to sort of help the process, give you some visual ideas on why I would be requiring special use and then a variance, but apparently the buildable area issue has changed today, so
Changed in the middle of your application.
that's probably half my slides. So anyway, so if you could just pull those up, this should make it pretty easy, I think. So again, special use, why am I petitioning for a special use shed for my property, and then variance, why am I petitioning a variance to get out of the buildable area? Those are my two topic areas. You can go to the next one. So this is again, overview of the property, the two options for option A and option B in the back of the area. You could see there's quite a bit of wooded areas in there towards the back. And I'll point out some other pictures, again, I'll go through them fast, because the buildable area would have been to the south of that concrete patio. So that makes that northern area non-buildable area. But again, this is a mute point. There's also basement stairs there, and again, it'll be shown in the pictures. You can keep going. So yeah, my application, as you guys have noted, I included my parcel information, aerial view of the developed property, some CAD locations for a garden type shed, approval signatures from my north and south neighbors, and again, why my petition is directly aligned with the intent of the special use and variance ordinance modifications. Next one. Yeah, these are probably mute, but just I tried to refresh some of the language on, better looking at some of the definitions on exactly what, how it's defined as far as a shed and buildable areas. So these are some references to that just kind of help clarify that. So on the special use, my garage is 20 by 20. House is built in 59. Garage, private. This is from the definition on the ordinance. It's an accessory building which is intended for the use of storing private passenger vehicles. So I have 9 gas-powered items in my garage, including a Harley Davidson, a lawn tractor. Everybody has said they've got a lot of stuff in the garage, so this just kind of outlines that. So the purpose here is that they're all gas-powered vehicles and they take up a lot of space. Weed whackers, leaf blowers, those are all gas-powered. A pressure washer, a generator, and 2 snow blowers. I've lived here since 2003 and I've never parked a car in my garage, so that's why I need the special use shed. And I have 3 vehicles. You can go to the next one. This is a picture of those: a lawn tractor, a Harley, 2 snow blowers, 4 bikes. On the back there is the pressure washer and my generator. Next. Again, the variance I kind of mentioned. I'll just flip through the pictures quickly. I don't have much more, but just to kind of give you an idea on where I thought I was going and looking at some of the previous petitioners from March and so forth. So this is the top photo is my north buildable area. Again, there's basement stairs, there's a planter box, there's a concrete patio, and again, there's windows from the family room. These are the 2 locations on Plan Shed Option A. So this is, you can see the heavily wooded section in the back of the lot. So the top one is Area A, the bottom one is Area B. So really the thing there is there's existing screening on both the south side and the west side, and then in the north option would be the north and the west. So it's again heavily wooded and screened there. This was my buildable area showing my living room picture window, and then I have a 3-season room with a whole bank of windows too. So the buildable area made absolutely no sense to put a shed there. This is just street views. So the top photo is on the north side of my property line, looking back towards that northwest corner. That would be option B. But again, just my lot line is just off of the driveway, and again, that's a drainage swale between my house and the adjacent northern neighbor. On the south side, I think it's just important, if I had to prefer an option, which it shouldn't matter anyways, but I'd probably prefer option B, which would be in the southwest. And the important thing there is if I'm looking from the street, there's a whole planting area and trees right in the middle of the 2 lots for my neighbor that's also screened that location much more from the street. So both of my neighbors signed my petition and supported the use of the shed. I think that's all I had.
You said option A is preferred because it's not as visible from the street. Did I hear you
That's
correctly?
one of the reasons. They're both pretty similar. I could go with either. Option A probably would be, I have some small garden back there now, but yeah. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for the petitioner?
No, you noted in the presentation, thank you for the slides, that your garage is 20 by 20. So
Correct.
Okay.
And my wife wanted me to indicate that we haven't parked a car in there for 18 years. Emphasize that.
Bob, did you have any questions?
Is the objective here to clean out your garage and then use it as intended, as to put your cars in, or do you need additional storage beyond what the garage has?
I need a garden shed for additional storage. I have 3 cars and a motorcycle and a lawn tractor. They all need to be covered, and they all don't fit in a garage that I have. So I'd be lucky to get a car in the garage, which is certainly an objective, but I haven't really thought about, again, I physically can't fit all my cars in there. But
So you've built an inventory of items that now exceed storing them in the garage, and you are requesting a shed.
That's correct.
Okay, hearing no additional questions or comments, do we have a motion to recommend approval of the application for 6324 Pontiac? Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in, oh no, roll call, sorry.
No, you're good. Commissioner Holm? Commissioner Tantillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Sveska?
Yes.
And Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
All right, the motion carries.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on 6324 Pontiac, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, and I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, moving on to, oh, sorry. Is there a question, comment? No.
He's just saying thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, have a good one. Moving on to 6529 Cochise, do I have a motion to open the public hearing for that address? Thank you. I'll go ahead and second it. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
How
so
you doing? I don't know how I could follow that. I don't have slides, sorry.
That's okay.
So it's pretty much the same story as you hear from the rest of the people. I have 3 kids. I have a lot of bikes, you know, sports equipment, you name it. A standard 2-car garage. My basement is I have a slab on one half of my basement, so it's really not a full basement. So I put this shed up when right after my daughter was born 15 years ago, and it's up in the corner of the lot. It's still got the 10 feet, I believe. It's there. It's basically the storage for my mower, for gas, for insecticides. I don't like having that in the attached garage. I don't know if there's any other information you guys need. I tried to paint the picture of where the shed is through the different spots. It's pretty well covered. Yep. It's screened from the street, so you can't see anything. And then I have the lucky. My house is right behind the previous one of the previous ones with the fence. So you'll see where that runoff is right there. So that's on my lot. That's not an easement.
Oh, I see.
So it's really hard to get any kind of foliage there, but it is on the other side of the drainage ditch, if you want to call it that.
So the 8 feet that you showed here in your markup, that's on your property, but it's basically a drainage facility.
It's all my property,
Okay.
yeah.
And the shed is clear of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
How long have you had the shed?
My 15 years when my daughter was born, so she reminded me.
Sorry, you did say that. I'm sorry.
No problem. I mean, it's a standard 7x7 shed. It matches the color of the house. I don't know if there's any other specifics you guys might have.
Andy, I just was looking at the staff recommendations about the approval with the condition that, the screening inspection in July of 2023. I'm looking at the pictures that are provided, and it seems like, there's wood and there's some resin chairs, and
he's probably good.
It's all well and good in
from
terms
what I
of
can
that, but I
see.
just wondered, we've talked about kind of like the more foliage screening rather than, some of that just looks like an extension of what you can't fit in your shed, and that's not a big deal based on where you're located, but I'm just wondering, what we're doing in terms of the standards with the foliage.
So basically, obviously it's case by case. So in situations in which like it's heavily wooded, then we won't make, if it's like right up against the woods, we're not going to make them plant another layer. But if it is visible from another side, then we may. Just from looking at these pictures, it looks like it's probably okay already. But
Right,
we'll
and
do the
page-
inspection.
Picture 9, those aren't my materials. That's the neighbors. I just wanted to show my shed is actually in the green there. It's not, you can't even see it. So that's from a neighbor's.
Yeah, I was looking more at picture 7.
Oh,
So- Right, that's with opening of the shed, so.
All right, do we have any additional questions or comments for this petitioner? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to recommend approval for 6529 Cochise?
I'll move that we recommend.
Thank you. I'll second.
All right. Commissioner Holm? Commissioner Tantillo?
Yes.
Yes, via phone. Commissioner Sveska?
Yes.
And Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Yes. All right, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we will need a motion to close that one.
Yep, can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. I will second it. All in favor? Aye. Perfect. Thank you.
And one more. We got one more tonight.
And we do a public hearing on that one as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing for 6395 Arrowhead Court, please?
I'll move that we open.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, what do we have on this one, Andy?
So on this one, Miss Margaret Brennan is applying for a variance on this. And this is totally unrelated to sheds and fences, which is different. For a variance in order to construct a screened sunroom at the rear of the house and to relocate the air conditioning unit to the east side of the house. Currently, the plans as submitted are not compliant with the code, largely due to the odd shape of her lot, which is very triangular, which makes the buildable area much smaller. And so for that reason, staff is recommending a variance on to allow for the construction of the sunroom. Because if it were a more regular shaped lot, it would probably be all right. It is also very far from the nearest property, let alone home itself. And then the other thing is that she would also need a variance to relocate the AC unit because our village code requires all AC units to be placed in the rear of the home. She would like to put it on the east side. Again, we are recommending approval for this variation because it would still be roughly 40 feet from the nearest property line and roughly 65 feet from the adjacent home. And the adjacent homeowners have stated that they are okay with the placement of the air conditioning unit on that side. So staff is recommending approval for both variances. And with that, I'll hand it over to you if you got anything else to add.
The only thing I would add is that I learned through this process that the entire back half of my house is not in compliance with the existing zoning. And they couldn't find the exception for that, but obviously the house was built in 1979 and it's been occupied since then. So I'm assuming that if we got an occupancy permit at some point that it should be somewhere to be found. But, and the only other thing is where I'm proposing or what the plan is to put this screened room is over an existing concrete pad for most of it that's been there also since 1979 as far as I know as well. So it's not like I'm going much outside of what's already there. I'm just kind of changing the structure a little bit so I can get away from the mosquitoes.
And Andy, the issue is that the code is written in such a way that the rear setback is based on a percentage of the depth of the lot, and this lot is wide and shallow.
Correct. It's
So-
a very large lot. It's one of the largest, I believe, in the village. It's just that it's pie shaped. So.
Yep.
And I can't read the handwritten, even as you're proposing it, it's still going to be, what, 26 feet, 30 feet?
I think it's going to be in excess of 30, close to 30 feet.
30 feet from the property line still, okay.
Yes.
Oh, right.
But yeah, the situation here is that the air conditioner would actually be further from the property line.
I would
If
be
it's on the
moving-
east side of the house than it is
Currently, yes.
currently, just because of the shape of the lot.
Right. It would be further from any neighbor, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for the construction of the sunroom and the relocation of the AC condenser unit.
I'll second.
All right, for the roll call, Commissioner Holm? Commissioner Tantillo?
Yes.
Yes, via phone. Commissioner Sveska?
Yes.
And Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
All right, the motion carries.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing on this address, please? Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's all the public hearings we have.
Yeah, and
on the
then I
docket
just
today.
got a quick update. Just wanted to keep you in the loop about what's coming up. So after tonight, we will have 2 homes left. Only 2 homes left for the west side of the village.
Does that include the continuance from Sequoia?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, and then one other, and then
What is the other one?
it's a shed.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
it also on Osceola?
I don't think it is on Osceola.
Because I think there's a new shed on behind a house on Osceola.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we will be back again, but for now. And then the other thing is, so because we had a long meeting tonight, I pushed off the garden regulations, so that'll be back.
Yep.
Another thing that's come up is that we're recommending, this came from the Economic Development Committee, to have some regulations pertaining to signage, business signage specifically, looking at things like lighting and sizing. We already have some, but I think we want to refine it some to make it a little more restrictive. And so we'll expect some of that as well for discussion and eventual formulation of an ordinance. And then another thing that has come up, and this comes up occasionally, is home occupations. I just printed out a copy of the code related to home occupations for all of you to refer to. Most home occupations are not allowed in the village, and the reason for it is to prevent commercial activity from going on right next to residential areas. Makes a lot of sense. In general, the permitted home occupations, they are art studios, dressmakers, professional offices for a certain number of professions, teaching or tutoring, and then also commercial filming if you get a special permit. Essentially everything else is not allowed. And that's pretty much all I have. I mentioned earlier that we did the screening inspections for the east side homes, the Bartlett homes, just a couple weeks ago. Most of them passed. They've started their plantings. Still need to grow some, but most of them have put it in. And those that haven't, which I think is only 2. We'll just be following up with them again in a month and working with them throughout to get it planted. And that's all I got. So we're getting there. We've made a lot of progress. Yeah.
So just out of curiosity with this home occupation, was obviously written a while ago.
Yes.
Do we need to update the language, for example, on this?
I don't know. I mean, I think the question, I think it's really more of a question of what kinds of business do we want to allow more businesses to work from home? I mean, you can obviously work from home and you can do paperwork for your business at home, but what's your kind of thinking? Do we need to?
Well, I mean, dressmaking kind of stands out to me as like a 1950s kind of term that might need to be rethought.
What is
barbershop and beauty
make
parlor?
dresses, but you can't make pants.
I mean, it just It's kind of weird. It just seems to be language that was probably
Maybe-
established when this was originally written, and I'm just wondering if we should update it. So, to be more inclusive appropriately.
Well,
or
yeah,
such.
I'm not familiar with how these are worded in other communities, but I mean, the real issue at the end of the day is that if you work alone and you don't, there aren't, there isn't a need for employees to be coming and going, or deliveries and that sort of thing, then whatever you're doing sitting at your computer or your sewing machine, I suppose, is not causing an issue for anyone else in the neighborhood, basically, versus some of these other, where they say permitted home occupation shall not include any other, and then lists some things. I mean, really, it's more just about the kind of potential,
Right.
Externalities that activity would have, trucks or deliveries or things like that. It's not that it's a barber shop or a restaurant versus just being something, it's more about the impact it would have on noise or traffic or
Safety.
something like that.
Yeah.
That would be, I would hope, would be the determinant about whether something would be permitted or not permitted.
I mean, I think that the way it's written right now is pretty. I mean, yeah, some of the language probably could be updated, but overall, the effect is it gets at what you're going for. I mean, maybe want something like the professional offices. You could elaborate and say just professional offices of, as long as they don't cause those issues. But I don't know if I see a strong need to do that right now. But that's just my opinion, though.
It is interesting that you can have the professional office of a physician, but you can't have a clinic or hospital. I guess the difference would be if one person is coming to visit you at a time.
Yeah, but then my thing also is, if you're gonna have it one person at a time, then why do you ban barber shops but allow for doctors?
What about veterinarians? They could see
Yeah, so I guess there is a question. I mean, if we'd like, we can discuss it more at a future meeting. If you,
I'd be interested to get other people's input on what
Yeah.
they think. Other
sure,
people on the
yeah,
committee.
why not?
I mean,
And paragraph C seems like it leaves it pretty,
Yeah, it
and in
seems to kind
terms
of
of not
cover-
having other
Yeah,
employees at
that's
the
the
space, it
safety
seems like
clause
it
or
kind
whatever you wanna
of
call
meets
it,
the
yeah.
spirit of
Yeah.
an individual working in their house without all the traffic that maybe people would be concerned about.
Yeah, this was updated in 2017 somehow. I don't know what it was about it that was updated in 2017, but
Yeah, I'm honestly not
there's
sure.
no signage, no
Yeah.
traffic, no exterior storage. I mean, those are the kind of things that, would cause an issue for a neighbor.
Right.
So,
Okay. So we know what we've got coming down the pike.
Oh,
then.
Bob, you had some?
Yeah, one way to check for compliance on whatever we settle in on is to look at the Secretary of State address filings, and if it shows that it's a house, then we could start some inquiries of what type of business it is.
Yes, good idea. Good point.
Okay. Do we have any other, items to discuss, or should we move to a motion to close?
I have nothing else.
All right. I second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Have a nice one, everybody. I'm banging the gavel again just because I can. Oh, it's fun. Okay.